You're listening to the Echo Ratings Eventing Podcast, the show with a light-hearted look at the eventing world, all of the big event previews, reviews, and special guests, and of course, backed up with all of the key Echo Rating stats. Welcome to the Echo Ratings Eventing Podcast. Welcome to the Echo Ratings Eventing Podcast, and it is another Poe special for you listeners, because I have one lady who is one of the hot favourites this weekend. Welcome to the show, Laura Collett.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us, because I think you are huddled in the back of your lorry, holding your phone, trying to get some signal to talk to us. So thank you.
That's right.
First of all, how has your French road trip been so far? I feel like I should ask you before we talk about all of the excitement of Poe. Moonlight Charmer at Le Lion went brilliantly, massively disappointing for you not to be able to compete with him. Is he all okay? Did anything come of it?
Yeah, luckily he's all okay. I think it all comes down to really bad timing. He was totally fine when we trotted him up in the morning, and then had absolutely no worries. And then he was walking around quite a bit before, because they were quite delayed doing the 6-year-old trot ups. And then presented him and got sent to the holding box, and thought that was a bit strange because he's been totally fine. Then they put hoof testers on him, and he reacted to the inside of one of his front feet, and then represented, and he took a couple of lame steps when I represented him, and so they failed him. And then by the afternoon, when we went to load him on the lorry to go home, he was quite lame, and actually then an abscess burst out of his coronet band. So just really, really, really bad timing, but luckily nothing major. He got home on Monday afternoon and was 100% okay. So just really, really bad timing as ever with horses, but delighted with his performance. And luckily he knows no different. He thinks he finished the season on a high, and he can roll on next year.
He looked super exciting throughout the weekend. So he was lying in 4th in the 7-year-olds before the final horse inspection. But I found a silver lining for you. Badminton 2019, the absolute heartbreak of Mr. Bass, who we will obviously talk about a little bit later on in the show, not being able to complete. But then a week later, you won the Event Rider Masters with London 52 at Chatsworth.
Yeah, my life often is a roller coaster, goes from one extreme to the other. So let's hope your theory's right, Nicole.
We've had the low, we're going on the high. We're going to run with that. We'll just take it. We'll take it. That's absolutely fine. Now, we've spoken to you on the show previously. I think we spoke to you before Bergen, when both of London 52 and Mr. Bass went really, really well up there as part of their preparation. We talk a lot about their achievements and how competitive they are and everything else. But can you just tell us a little bit about them? Because what they're like at home, how long you've had them, that kind of thing. If we start with Mr. Bass, Chuck, who is named after a character in Gossip Girl, which is the best thing ever. But I think you've had him since, was he a 4-year-old when you had him?
Yeah, so went out to Germany to Peter Thompson's yard to look at a load of 4-year-olds, and he actually arrived on the yard the morning that I arrived. So Peter, he came from the breeder, and Peter had never seen him. So luckily I asked the price before we sent him in the indoor. And the jump was up from the horse that we jumped before, and we just let him go, and he literally just took himself off round and popped over quite a decent fence off his own back whilst we were just closing the door. So I thought, he's got quite a good attitude, quite likes to jump, and just sort of fell in love with his attitude, really. He just, right from word go, he just had a look in his eye, and just loved going around and jumping the fences. You sort of couldn't pull him up, and that's kind of the story of his life, really, is he does what he wants, and he loves his job. So I bought him then, and so he's been a part. So I named him. Obviously I was a bit obsessed with Gossip Girl, and just thought that if ever there was a horse that I could call after Chuck Bass from Gossip Girl, it was him. So stable name's Chuck, and competition name's Mr. Bass. And anyone that's watched that programme and knows the horse knows that there is no better name for him and no better character, because it's him all over. You know, he comes in and he just says, well, I'm Chuck Bass, and that's kind of just how he is. He has always been so sure of himself. I look back now, and I took him to Stuttgart and Stockholm for the indoor cross-country derbies as a 6-year-old. And I mean, it's crazy to think that he did that, but he's sort of done a bit of everything, because I'd sold him as a 5-year-old to an owner halfway through his 5-year-old year, and he failed the vet really badly. So he suddenly became my fun horse, and I've kind of stuck to that ever since. He owes me nothing, and he is just my fun horse, and I love him to bits, and he's part of the family. So anything he does is a bonus. He's achieved more than he ever should have done, but he's a gift that keeps on giving.
He always looks, whenever you have him on any of your social media, that his zest for life, like, ears are pricked, there's a spring in his step, he looks a little bit cocky. He just looks like he loves his job so much.
Yeah, if ever you're feeling a bit down or having a bad day, the best thing to do is even just look at him over the stable door, because he has always got a smile on his face, and he's always got this quirk that I call it a bit of a love-hate relationship, because he really knows how to wind me up and push my buttons, but equally,
all the best men do, Laura.
Yeah, equally, he knows when the chips are down. He knows when he's got to pull it out of the bag, and touch wood, he's never let me down. So he's 1 in a million, and I know I'll never have another horse like him. So as I said, he's my fun horse, and I enjoy every time I get to ride him.
And in terms of his sort of the different phases, he's always been an exceptional jumper, hasn't he? He's always been naturally pretty quick, and really love that. But the dressage is something that he's been good at, but actually in the last sort of couple of years, I think it was at Chatsworth 2018, he took sort of 4 or 5 marks off his general score, and he's really started to produce some very, very good marks in the first phase as well, hasn't he?
Yeah, he really struggles with the dressage. To start with, it was because he genuinely didn't see the point of dressage. Why could he not just go really fast and jump really high? And physically, he struggles. You know, he's not built to do dressage, but he's learned over time that it's part of the job, and it's his character again. Like he's just so willing, and he wants to win as much as I do, and I think it's just a part that he's kind of come to accept, that he's got to do the first phase to get to the fun parts. So yeah, he has improved, and he really tries. And I think the biggest thing as a younger horse was that he'd almost try too hard. He because he's cocky and he thinks he knows everything, he would just be convinced that he knew what the dressage test was, and so he would never really wait and let me tell him what the next movement was. So he was always like, I've got this, but actually he didn't know what the test was. And so he was never naughty or like he never blew up in a test or anything like that. It was all anticipation, because he so wanted to do the right thing, and in wanting to do the right thing, he basically did the wrong thing. But he's got better, and he's beginning to compromise and listen for some instructions.
And in terms of his career, 'cause, I mean, he was second at Le Moulin on his 5-star debut. So out of your 2 boys, he's the only one that's been 5-star already. Then there was the absolute heartbreak of badminton last year when he couldn't present to the second horse inspection. Just talk us through those emotions, because he is your horse for lifetime. You say he owes you nothing, but to get to badminton, which I know was the dream, must have been exceptionally hard to think, actually, do you know what? Maybe this is meant to be, this is how it's going to end. And then to come on to how special it is to get him back now to another 5-star.
I mean, I can't really put it into words, to be honest. When I was doing the press conference, the media and stuff straight after cross country, and I just remember looking up and seeing him walking back towards the stables, and he was very sore, and I just broke down. I think it was just before Claire Balding and the BBC interview, and I was just an emotional wreck, because I knew there was something wrong, and seeing your best friend in pain is not anything you ever want to feel. And we got back to the stables, and it it looks like, to start with, that it was worse than it ended up being, and just the thought that, to be honest, I at one point, obviously I was highly emotional and a complete wreck, but at one point I thought that was it, and he was, he wasn't going to be okay. And luckily the team behind me and the vets and everything, they got him comfortable. That was the first things first, was to, forget about, badminton. It wasn't meant to be. And then it was just to get him comfortable and then investigate what had actually happened. And luckily it wasn't, it wasn't as horrific as we first thought. And it's been a long road to get him back. But from the first day that I got back on him, touch wood, he's never looked back. And it was long days of walking, and but you don't mind when it's for a horse like him, and he's so cheeky and so full of himself that he kept me on my toes. And a walk hack has never been so entertaining.
I was going to say, I can't imagine that it was very easy to do a walk hack, to be honest.
No, it wasn't really in his vocabulary just to go for a gentle walk hack. But he did it, and he went from strength to strength. And to have him back at a 5-star now is, it's the icing on the cake. It's been a long road, and it's been a very difficult year all round for everybody. But to have it on the back of him having to have a year off as well, it just felt like a real kick in the teeth when I think he was entered up just about a couple of weeks after lockdown occurred, and I just felt really deflated, because I just thought, I've waited so long to have this horse back, and now it's been taken away from me. It's out of my control, and then I had to give myself a bit of a talking to and think, actually, it's probably the best thing for him and for for any horse coming back from an injury. Time is the best healer, and he was, we were both forced to wait longer than we wanted to, but actually, when I look back on it now, it was probably the best thing that could have happened. He had an extra, basically had an extra 6 to 8 weeks of build up before he came back, and since then he's hit the ground running. And every time I get to go out the start box on him is special, and he reminds me that he is my horse of a lifetime.
And he has been in great form since he's been back. So he's done 2 internationals. He has jumped double clear in them both. He finished on his dressage score at Bergam, and then had a slightly steadier run cross country to finish 5th. So 2nd and 5th at his 2 runs back, the 2nd being at Little Downham, the 2nd run back being at Little Downham. How is he feeling going into this week?
Yeah, he's in great form. He had, I let him run how he likes to run at Bergam. And then the plan was always to have a bit of a schooling round at Little Downham. He's always very feisty and very opinionated, and so I thought he needed to just have a little bit of manners put back on before we came here, knowing that it's always a very twisty cross country track here, and it rains a lot. They did a fantastic job getting Little Downham to run at all, so I just wanted to use it purely as a prep run for him. The two horses that I've got here are very different in their mentality, so he had to have a bit of a restraining run, much to his disapproval, but he felt fantastic, and he's come out of it really well, and to be honest, for what a strange year it's been, I couldn't have asked for better prep runs for either of the two horses coming here. And I just have to keep reminding myself that really everything's gone to plan. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I don't know. We'll find out this week. But I couldn't have asked for better preps coming here, and hopefully they'll continue to deliver what they have been so far this year.
Going full of confidence. Now, Mr. Bass is obviously the first of your rides. He's actually been drawn first of the two horses. So he does his dressage. This show will be out on Thursday, and he does his dressage Thursday at, just going to double check, 13:58 French time. So 12:58 UK time if you're listening, and you can watch it Horse and Country Plus. What about London 52? He's an Event Rider Masters leg winner. He is the Buccalo long format winner from last year. He steps up to 5-star here. Tell us a bit about him.
He's the polar opposite horse, really, to Mr. Bass. He started life as a show jumper. I got him when he was 7, and he's had a very steep rise up the levels, and I think last year his whole season was a bit of a roller coaster. He started off winning the ERM at Chatsworth, and then it all kind of fell apart at Bramham. I felt like I let the horse down because I'd got to the point where I kind of forgot to really ride him and forgot how inexperienced he was, and so I ended up pulling him up actually quite early on in the course. Then we went to Aachen, and he was leading going into cross country and had a really good cross country round until the last combination, and had a silly run out there, which again was my fault. I didn't make it clear enough for him, and then we went to the Europeans, and all was going really well till the last water, and got caught out by the pesky bird,
the damn bird.
That was a real, I think, a turning point really with the horse, because it would have been easy just to say, right, let's just end this year and start again next year, start afresh. But it was actually Tina Cook said to me on the Sunday, she said, take him to Buccalo. He's fit, he's well. You want to finish, you're much better to finish the year on a good note than a bad note. So I sort of thought, well, she's got a point. So that became the plan. And I went there with one aim and one aim only, and that was to give the horse a nice ride cross country. So to then win on the back of that was, it was a huge bonus, and it was a huge relief more than anything, was that I felt like I'd finally given him the opportunity to show how class he is. And then this year he came back off his holidays, and he just felt physically and mentally like a different horse, like he'd grown up, and he just suddenly took a breath and said, I think he just realised and said to himself that he's a good horse, and he's always doubted himself. As a character, he's the opposite. Mr. Bass couldn't think more of himself and couldn't love himself anymore, whereas London is very, very shy and very insecure. And the whole way through his career so far, he's always questioned everything, you know, as it was always difficult to explain to people because you couldn't necessarily see it when you watched him, like even Chatsworth when he won, and Buccalo when he was second the year before. He always felt like he needed his hand holding, and this year he's come out and he's just taken a breath and gone, I've got this. And it's just like, sit back and enjoy the ride. And that's why he's here. That's why I'm stepping him up to 5-star. I said right from Buccalo last year, I said we play it by ear and we just go on what I feel, because the feeling is very different to what he looks, and it would have been easy to rush him, and I just wanted to know that he was confident, and he's coming here with, you know, with as much confidence as he can have. So it'd be very interesting to see how he copes stepping up a level by moving up a level on total confidence. And I'm really excited to see how he takes on a 5-star.
In terms of what is in store for them both this week, Poe, we've talked about on the show previously, it is notorious for being pretty tough in the cross country. I think less than 50% have jumped clear over the last sort of 4 or 5 years. Have you had a chance to go out and see any of Pierre Michelet's cross country track yet? Michelet the Menace, as Sam likes to refer to him.
Yeah, I think he's pretty bang on, really. It's, you know, it's typical Poe. It's what I would call typical French, and very much typical Pierre course. Everything on a very forward distance, a couple of blind turns to corners, and some very angled fences. So it's going to be a serious test, and I think it's where it's so twisty out on the racecourse as well. The time's going to play a huge part in the end result. So I think cross country day will be exciting to watch.
Well, we can't wait to watch you with your 2 boys. Thank you so much for coming on, telling us a bit more about them, because we talk about them a lot. Derm is literally London 52's biggest fan. I'm slightly disappointed in him that.
So am I. He's jumped ship.
He's abandoned Chuck. He has literally been on Team Chuck for years.
I remember the day at badminton he wore I'm Chuck Bass t-shirt.
Yes. Yeah. I think I have a picture of him with my toddler, like with Toby when he wasn't very old, in that t-shirt. And he's just literally jumped on Team Dan. Yeah. So I'll stick on Team Chuck and say good luck with both of your boys. Enjoy it. And I hope you do enjoy an exciting week ahead.
I will enjoy every second of it.
Laura, thank you so much for coming on the show. Listeners, we hope that you're enjoying all of the Poe coverage. Don't forget that you can find out all of the up-to-date stats and everything that's going on the Equirating social pages. Follow the Eventing podcast on Facebook as well. And if you don't already, click subscribe. And we will be back very soon. But Laura, good luck for Poe, and thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for listening to the Equirating's Eventing podcast. This podcast is available for free on iTunes, Spotify, Podcast Addict, or wherever you usually listen to your podcasts. Make sure you subscribe so that you don't miss an episode. Find us at eventingpodcast.com or search Eventing Podcast on social media. It's time for you to go up against thousands of eventing fans all over the world, because Eventing Manager is back, and this time there are real life competitions. Pick your fantasy eventing team of 4 from a virtual $10 million budget to be in with a chance of winning prizes, to play for your country and against your friends. The game will be available to play at a number of top competitions throughout the rest of the year, so what are you waiting for? Download the app for free in your App Store or on Google Play to get involved today. Visit equiratings.com for more information and use the hashtag eventingmanager or tag @equiratings across social media. We would love to see your teams. Good luck, and we hope you enjoy playing Eventing Manager.